I hope you guys have noticed that it's difficult to say things that are correct in the world today. And I hope you've realized why that is, because it's actually in scripture and you're supposed to be reading scripture and learning from it. It's about the bad tree bearing bad fruit and the good tree bearing good fruit, and how in the world today there's way more bad trees bearing bad fruit. And that's why it's difficult to say things that are correct, that are true, because it's usually people who don't understand the truth, who use what they think it is in the wrong possible ways, like they want to hurt somebody. Let's take somebody who has a mental health issue, like I've had some. At least I've been labeled like that. I don't believe I've ever had like a disease. I've just been trying to figure things out with God. But if somebody told me that that's your problem, you know, it's very easy to assume that like, this person is trying to hurt me. They're telling me, you know, I'm causing trouble for everybody, you know, there's something wrong with me, etc., etc. They're the bad tree bearing bad fruit. And they're using what is correct, what is true, in the worst possible way. In a way that's like completely misleading. But they said something that's true. The problem is in me. It is my problem. Nobody else has my mental health issue. And that's why it's difficult for good people to be honest about these things. Because there's so many bad voices out there. But the problem is in me. Even this thing I had to approach in a way that is about me, right? This is one of those clever ways that people whose intentions aren't bad try to talk about these things. It's easier to talk about yourself having troubles than it is somebody else. But it's also true for them. If you're somebody who has mental health issues, it is your problem because you're the one who is suffering from it, right? You can't deny that. But where in you the problem is? You believe something that's incorrect, something that's false, that's why it's a sickness. You've been tricked somehow by the evil influences of the world. To find the problem, you have to search in the right places. And where are you searching for when you even deny that there is a problem in you? If we can't hold to the truth, if we sacrifice the truth, we'll not find the problems and the solutions, obviously. If we can't even say that, if we can't admit there's a problem in another person because we want to be seen, for example, as good people, or we don't want to be seen as evil people, like these countless people who are evil people and they say these things wrongly, then we won't be effective. We'll be like incompetent about it when we try to help. And then we're like a tree that bears no fruit. We tried to be the good tree, but we were kind of like beholden to some evil influence in the world, and then we could not bear fruit. That's good. What do you guys think? Like, the problem in a mentally ill person is that they believe things that are not founded on the truth. That's why it's a mental health issue. That's why it's a mental illness, a sickness. If a mental illness was correct, if it was thought out truthfully, it was logical, then it wouldn't be an illness. It'd just be how things are, reality is. But because things are contradicting and you believe wrongly about yourself and what's important and what isn't, it's a sickness. It's something that is hurtful. And that's also something that somebody who is the good tree trying to bear good fruit notices. The suffering can be real, but the underlying reasons for it are not. There's like this skill that you have to master to even be able to like address these things in correct ways. And obviously the bad trees bearing bad fruit will not do that. They get everything wrong, and then everybody just, you know, throw out their hands in the air and say, oh, I don't want anything to do with this. I don't want to be seen as a bad person. I won't even talk about this. I'll just be like, oh, you'll be okay. You know, say something that sounds nice and good, but it's not effective. It doesn't really do anything. I don't want to hate on this nurse that I saw in one of these mental hospitals that I was taken in, but she was talking to a young woman, like 19 or 20 years old, and she was under some kind of like emotional distress, I think, and she was trying to understand things. And the nurse said something that's like schizophrenic to her. I'm not using the word schizophrenic correctly, but you understand what I'm saying. She said something that's like self-contradicting. She said, the problem is not in you, it's in your head, it's in your brain. And that's a really nasty thing to say somebody who is suffering from mental illness, who's trying to figure things out, who's trying to get rid of the things that are wrong, that she believes wrongly, that are hurting her. You're saying something that's like contradicting. If the problem is in me, in my brain, then the problem is in me. Maybe she said that nobody blames you. And that's, I guess, better. But still, you're like invoking this idea that you're somebody who is being blamed. We have to be really careful. If you sacrifice the truth enough, if you throw the baby out with the bathwater, even if your intentions are good, you're gonna do more damage. Then you are really the bad tree that is bearing bad fruit. But you thought you were good. We can't sacrifice the truth. We have to say things that are correct. We have to understand what we are saying, and then we can help. One last thing I want to make a note of, and that is how damaging it can be when people who are regarded as mentally healthy in the world also believe in the sick things that a mentally ill person who suffers under those beliefs believes in. For example, there are people who are anorexic and bulimic and they think external beauty is so important. Well, most normal people who also are mentally ill before God also believe this. They just do it with the lesser intensity. And that's why they don't suffer as much from it. But they also believe it, so they prop it up. You understand? Scripture never tells us external beauty is important. In fact, it advises against it. What's beautiful before God are things like righteousness and compassion and caring and thinking about others. This is what's forever. This is the thing that makes people smile, a genuine smile, when they're with their families, in pictures. The external beauty of the world makes you look like a cold-hearted, like those models when they take expensive pictures with their fancy cameras. That is not desirable. But the world is mentally ill, so it thinks it is.